How you doing, everyone? Welcome back. I'm still experimenting with which position I like better as far as recording, whether it's here or over there where I was in the previous video. I don't know. I think I like this spot better. I'm not sure though. Anyway, I'm not out here to talk about where I prefer to sit, which angle I prefer. I'm out here to talk about that meeting that took place between Donald Trump and Mark Carney. Now, if you don't know who Mark Carney is, he is the new Prime Minister of Canada. You know, the guy that Trump effectively kind of put in office, which is funny because he's with the Liberal Party, and the Conservative Party in Canada was set to win that election. Just absolutely clean the Liberals' clocks. But Donald Trump starts with all his annexing Canada and tariffing everything, you know, especially Canada because they're such terrible people and they're so hard to deal with. And look, here's the deal, right? I've never been to Canada. I've met Canadians, I've dealt with Canadians, and every single one that, now keep in mind, this is anecdotal, this is my personal experience, and I'm sure it's not completely true of every single Canadian, but every single one that I can think of that I have ever had any dealings with has been a great person. And you know what? Many of them, well, I wouldn't even say many. I would say just Canadians in general, much like Americans, they love their country. They're proud of their country. They have a proud heritage in Canada, kind of like we do here. You know, I mean, their story's a little bit different from ours, and that's all right. And it doesn't make them, you know, better, worse, whatever, right? But what I'm going to say here about, you know, Carney is that he made Trump his little bitch. In the Oval Office, the Prime Minister of Canada made the President of the United States his bitch. There's no other way to say that. And to Mr. Carney, good job. Thank you. Because Cheetolini needs to be put in his place. And, you know, he needs to know that, he needs to hear it from you. Canada is not for sale. And don't get me wrong, I have nothing against Canada. But I don't want to take them over. I don't want to bring Canada into the United States. Now, if the Canadians chose to become Americans, if they said, hey, you know what? Here's an idea. How about if we join you, you know, and we just become one big country? Okay. If it's mutually agreed upon by both countries, okay, that's fine. But it's not mutually agreed upon now, is it? It is one mango madman saying, we're just going to erase that artificial line. You know, somebody just took a ruler and drew it across there, and it doesn't, you know, that border doesn't make any sense, and we're going to get rid of it. And, well, tell you what if I told you that every border is an artificial line? Every one of them. Sure, there may be natural barriers or whatnot, you know, but like right behind me, right? I have a neighbor that lives behind me, and there's an artificial line that separates my property from their property. Just an artificial line drawn somewhere in those trees. And neighbor over here, there's an artificial line that is drawn right there that separates our property from their property. And that's okay. I mean, that's just kind of the way it is. So is it an artificial line that separates the United States and Canada? Sure. You know what? It's also an artificial line that separates the provinces of Canada, that, you know, separates Saskatchewan and Manitoba from each other. It's an artificial line that separates Tennessee from Alabama, Texas and Oklahoma, artificial line. Iowa and Minnesota, artificial line. Now, Iowa and Illinois, that's a natural occurring thing, you know, because we've got the Mississippi River right there. But still, it's still an artificial and arbitrary place to draw the line, because at one point in time, in fact, let's put Iowa and Wisconsin together, right? Iowa, at one point in time, used to be part of the Wisconsin Territory, despite being on opposite sides of that massive river. So, yeah, I mean, there's a natural barrier there. But where exactly is it in the river where the state line is? Because it is in the river. You know, I mean, you go across the bridge. It's not when you get onto the land on the other side that you are welcomed into Illinois or Wisconsin, or if you're coming from one of those states, that you are welcomed into Iowa, right? It's not on the land, it's on the bridge, roughly about halfway. But yeah, Canada, not for sale. Also, other ways that Carney made Trump his bitch. When Trump said, well, they do business with us, we don't do business with them, or, you know, whatever he said, something to that effect. What a stupid comment, for one, because if I'm doing business with you, that means you are also doing business with me, right? I went over the trade deficits recently, right? And if you saw that video, you know that I have a collection of whiskey decanters, and my wife has a collection of uranium glass, right? Now, when I buy a new decanter, right, I am doing business with the person who has that decanter that I want. And the person with that decanter that is taking my money is also doing business with me. That's just the way it is. But what made it funny is and not ha-ha funny, I mean kind of, but Carney is like, well, respectfully, which, first of all, not that the guys do any respect at all, but when somebody starts a sentence with respectfully or with all due respect, you know they're saying that, well, either something completely disrespectful is going to follow, or they're basically saying, you're an idiot, right? And Carney was basically saying, you're a dumbass. And he said, well, respectfully, we are your largest trading partner. And that's true. They are. We need Canada. Canada needs us. I don't think Canada needs us as much as we need them. You know, when Trump wants to say, well, we don't need anything from them. We don't need their cars. We don't need their lumber. We don't. First of all, their cars are our cars. They are our cars. They are built in, well, some are built in Canada, some are built in Mexico, some are built in the United States, but they are all American cars, right? It's not like it's a Canadian car brand, right? So we don't need their cars. Tell that to everybody driving around right now in a vehicle that was built in Canada. My truck may have been built in Canada. I don't know. May have been built here in the United States. I don't know. But, yeah, we don't need their lumber. About 30% of the lumber that we use to build houses, the construction lumber that we have, about 30% of it comes from Canada. You do realize they have a lot more trees than we do. They have a lot more forest. You know, Trump said otherwise not that long ago, maybe a month or two ago. He's like, well, we have a whole lot more forest than they do, and blah, 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 blah. Have you seen the size of Canada? And you do understand that their population is, they are by area the second largest country in the world. And their population is only 1/10 that of ours, roughly. So that means they have a lot of open space there, right? A lot of forest. We have a lot less of that. Basic math. So, we don't need anything from them, except their friendship. Oh, well, I don't know about you, but I'm not friends with somebody who tries to bully me. I'm just not gonna be. You know? Canada, they proverbially bitch slapped Donald Trump in the Oval Office. Carney did, yeah. And quite frankly, I'm here for it. I am all here for it. So, Mr. Carney, good job. Canada, elbows up. We'll catch you guys next time.